Welcome to your PEBT skill building lessons. We're glad to have you join us. This is the fourth in a series of learning opportunities, some self-directed like this one, and others through Zoom or in-person sessions. Today's skill building session will help you develop the knowledge and skills needed to perform the duties of a PEBT benefits administrator effectively. In this lesson, we will focus on 4 aspects of processing financial transactions, including how to download and review monthly PEBT benefit invoices, deal with discrepancies, and pay the PEBT monthly benefit invoice. As an employer, you pay or collect premiums for employee benefits through payroll deductions. Premiums, or contributions, are the agreed upon amounts paid to maintain employee benefits. Aggregate contribution payments are sent to the trust, which then pays the benefit providers. Each district has a designated primary billing contact who receives email notifications about when the next premium invoice is ready. If you are unsure who this is at your district, check with your supervisor to confirm who receives the billing emails. If no one at your district is receiving invoice notifications, contact your PBC service representative. If there have been staffing changes, be sure to update the primary billing contact information with PBC. An invoice for all benefits provided through the PEBT benefits program is produced monthly, generated 12 days prior to the month's end. The invoice is for the upcoming month. For example, the invoice for April is generated in March, 12 days prior to March 31st. The district's primary billing contact will receive an email notification that the invoice is available via AdminNet. A plan administrator at the district with access to invoices should log into AdminNet monthly to download the invoice. Remember, they are available 12 days before month end. Not all administrators have access to invoices. If you need access as part of your job responsibilities, speak to your supervisor to have the primary administrator at your district grant you this access, or request that they send an email to PBC for this access. Once in AdminNet, click on Reports, and then click on Invoice Statements. This will show you a list of your invoices, plus a history of all previous invoices. Click on View PDF or View XLS for an Excel version and save the invoice. Let's check in on your learning. Where do you get your invoices? A. AdminNet. B. They will be sent to me directly. Or C. I will get an email notifying me they are available on AdminNet. Both A and C are correct. You may get an email notifying you they are available on AdminNet. However, if you are not the primary billing contact but have access to invoices on AdminNet, you can get the invoice by logging in and going to the report section of AdminNet and then clicking on Invoice Statement. When should you expect your invoices? A. At the beginning of the month. B. 12 days before month end. Or C. At the end of the month. The answer is B, 12 days before month end. On the first page of the invoice, you'll want to check that your last payment was correctly accounted for. Note that if a payment was made after the invoice was generated, it won't show up on the invoice until the next month. For example, if the invoice is generated on the 19th of the month, and the district makes the payment on the 25th of the month, and you download the invoice on the 30th, the payment will not be reflected on the invoice. You'll need to check for this on the next invoice. If there are any inaccuracies with the payment reflected on the invoice, contact the PEBT at payments@pebt.ca for assistance to get this corrected. The invoice has a lot of important information. It is broken into current transactions, these are the premiums charged for the current month being billed, and adjustment transactions, which are the retroactive changes that were made between the last invoice and the current invoice. The current transactions section shows you all employees by division and class, the benefits they are covered for, their benefit level or volume, and the premium or contribution rate charged for each benefit. There is also a breakdown of costs by employee and district, shown under the member and plan sponsor columns, if your district has provided cost-sharing rules that can be configured into the system. It also includes any applicable tax and then the total amount due by employee. Before we go further, a plan sponsor means the organization that establishes the group benefits plan. While the PEBT is the plan sponsor, On this invoice, this reference means the school district. For changes that are made between the second and the end of the month, the premium is prorated to only charge for the days the employee had coverage. For example, here you can see this employee was added retroactively effective October 6th, so premium is charged for October 6th to 31st, and then also for November and December full months. You can see the premium for October is a bit less than November and December because it has been prorated. On a monthly basis, you should check any enrollments, terminations, or changes you made during the month prior to the invoice cutoff date to ensure they are reflected on the invoice. If these changes were retroactive to a previous invoice month, the change will be reflected in the current transaction section showing the current premium charge, and the employee will also show up in the adjustments transaction section and show the premium by benefit for each month premium is charged retroactively. If there is a change you were expecting to see on the invoice that isn't there, check the employee's profile on AdminNet to see if the change was made and what effective date was used. Sometimes this is not shown because the update wasn't completed or the effective date is after the billing period, and you can expect it on a future invoice. If the effective date used was incorrect, you'll need to use AdminNet to make the correction, or if this is not possible or you need assistance to make the correction, contact TBC at enrollment@pac.bluecross.ca for assistance. For any requests to PDC, please ensure you include reference to PEBT, your district number, and policy number in the subject line to ensure your inquiry is routed to the appropriate PDC team quickly. To avoid coverage issues and large retroactive premium adjustments, it is important to review your invoice monthly to ensure your changes are reflected and make corrections in a timely manner. If you find an issue and need to make a change retroactively, and the AdminNet system is not allowing the change due to the effective date being too far in the past, you'll need to contact PBC at enrollment@pac.bluecross.ca. They can assist you or advise of your options for making the change. Because these are very detailed invoices, we understand checking every employee on every invoice is usually not reasonable given the number of employees you may have. When and how you reconcile is up to you and your district. However, we have some tips and suggestions to help you out. You may want to do a more fulsome audit once or twice per year to ensure all employees are accounted for with the correct benefits and coverage levels by comparing the invoice to any benefits information you hold in your payroll or enterprise resource planning system, usually known as an ERP. This is where downloading an Excel version of the invoice spreadsheet may be useful. There is also an enrollment report available in AdminNet under Reports that may be useful for this process. When you click on Reports in AdminNet, you can go to View or Download Reports, and then you would click on On-Demand Reports to get the drop-down list shown here. Any discrepancies between your system and the invoice or the enrollment report can be reviewed to determine where an update may be needed. Let's check in on your learning. What should you be monitoring monthly on your invoices? A, every employee record, B, changes like new enrollees and terminations, or C, payments. The answer is B and C, changes like new enrollments, terminations, and payments. Looking at every employee record monthly is likely unrealistic. However, we do recommend an audit to reconcile using your payroll or ERP data once or twice a year. What steps can you take when there is a discrepancy? A, check the employee profiles on AdminNet. B, check effective dates. Or C, contact PBC. The answer is A, B, and C. Check the employee profile on AdminNet, then check the effective date. If it is after the billing period, that will be on the next invoice. If it was incorrect, use AdminNet to make the correction. If you need more information or assistance with making the correction, contact PBC at enrollment@pac.bluecross.ca. Remember to include PEBT with your district number and policy number to ensure proper routing of your request. Always pay the full amount invoiced. Even if there are updates needed to employee coverage that would change the amount owed, pay the full amount due and then make updates in AdminNet to be reflected retroactively on the next invoice. While the invoice is generated by PBC and available via AdminNet, the payment is made directly to the PEBT. This is because PEBT is using the PBC system for administration purposes only, and financial administration is done by the PEBT directly. This may be different for other plans you administer. All districts have the electronic funds transfer instructions for payment, but if you need these instructions, contact the PEBT at payments@pebt.ca. A payment notification should be sent to the same email address monthly, advising of the payment. The notification should include school district, policy number with a breakdown of the payment by policy if your district has more than one, division if your payment is for more than one division, invoice number, invoice month, and amount paid. Payment is due by the 1st of each month. For example, the payment for April is due April 1st. PEBT reviews payments monthly and will contact the district if there is a missing payment or a payment that doesn't match the amount due. If you have more than one policy or division under the PEBT, there will be a separate invoice for each, and you'll need to download each of these separately. Paying in a lump sum is an option. However, there are nuances to be aware of. In example 1, there are 3 policies, each with a balance owing. You add together your totals and pay one amount. However, you do need to ensure you break down the payments by policy or division on the payment notification. In example 2, there are 2 policies with a balance owing and one that has a credit balance. A credit balance can sometimes occur when large retroactive adjustments are made or when retroactive adjustments occur during the summer months for groups set up with 10-month rates and are not charged premium in July and August. For example, in the case where you have 2 balances owing and 1 credit balance, you add the 2 that are owing, but you do not subtract a credit. The credit will be carried forward on the invoice for the specific policy until it is used up. You will pay the balances owing in full for the policies and divisions that have a balance owing, and you will pay 0 for those with a credit. The credit on one policy cannot be subtracted from the aggregate total because it would in essence be applied to a different policy. Remember, there are plenty of resources to support you. In the case of invoicing, you can find details on AdminNet and a few invoice FAQs in the Consolidated Administration Reference Guide found on the PEBT SharePoint. Congratulations! You have just completed the 4th in a series of skill-building lessons. You can now download and review monthly PEBT benefit invoices, deal with discrepancies, and pay the PEBT monthly benefit invoice. This concludes Skill Building Lesson 4, Processing Financial Transactions. You can find more self-directed skill-building modules on the PEBT website.